I think our industry is a little bit late to the party because private equity has been operating for quite some time in many industries.
Hey, David, we've seen a lot of family owned companies sold fully or partially to private equity lately. ClearVision hasn't, and more importantly, it's still family operated. As consolidation might be accelerating, what do you think this means for the future of our industry, and why do eye care professionals need to care about that?
Steve, that's a great question. And I think it's a natural evolution for our industry, which was always family owned and operated businesses. If there's not a succession plan within the family, it makes perfect, or to sell the company, it makes perfect sense that a private equity would come in and ultimately manage that company, maybe sell it to another private equity, maybe take it public. This is standard operating procedure in many industries. I think our industry is a little bit late to the party because private equity has been operating for quite some time in many industries. What I think it means for our industry, both on the wholesale, retail, and manufacturing side, is that we're going to see more financial play, less strategic play in some instance by the investors. I don't mean by the players, by the investors. So we're going to have outside investors coming in, looking at wholesale, looking at retail, looking at factory, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The difference between a private equity business owned and a family owned and operated business, I think, is timeline, horizon, certain planning, etc. Both business formats want profit. Both business formats want growth. Both business formats want reasonable fixed overheads and operating expenses. I think the family business generally can have a longer horizon just by definition, because they might be looking at training a family member over time, or maybe bringing in a trusted individual within the company. The private equity business typically has a shorter horizon because they're investing in the business for a reason, to either grow it, synergize with other companies, et cetera. And then they tend to sell to another private equity, and then typically either sell that business or business unit to other companies in the industry or part of a conglomerate, or maybe take it public. That's standard. Let's put an asterisk mark there, except for family offices. Family offices tend to operate like a family-owned and operated business, and they're somewhere between private equity and family-owned and operated. So that means if we have a family office that is buying up businesses, they tend to be much more longer horizon, just like a family-owned and operated business. What does it mean for us in the industry? I don't think on a day-to-day basis there's a giant difference, but I think, for example, if you're working in a private equity business, or the private equity business is making moves that the company typically didn't make, the ones that are getting put together, then it may mean that there's going to be changes that are not anticipated. Whereas a family-owned and operated business, you can talk to the owner. In the private equity business, it's individuals that are outside the business that oftentimes only have a CFO inside the business, and sometimes they bring in some other people. But family-owned and operated are going to operate a certain way, and I think a PE operates a different way.
Okay, thanks, David. Appreciate it.